All right, everybody, it's time for episode 3 of Hornaday's Hybrid and Variety Highlights. This week we're looking at a product called 3322 RXF. So this is another Extend Flex bean. It's a 3.3 maturity. And as you can see, one of the main things compared to a lot of the Extend lineup, or the Extend Flex lineup rather, is that it's a little shorter bean, which is one of the things that I mentioned here. The other thing that I really like is that the early data suggests this thing has a lot of outstanding performance. Okay, so it's not a go everywhere bean by any stretch, but it is a bean that looks like it's going to have a lot of top end with the right placement. So when I talk about it not going everywhere, there's a few things to think about. It's a shorter bean, right? So you don't want to put it on some of those real tight soils or real droughty soils, because it's just going to shorten it up that much more. But on your productive rolling acres, this bean looks like it's going to really punch the top out of it. It is very bushy, despite the fact that it's a little shorter. It is really bushy, so I think maybe this might have some really good potential in 30-inch rows. So that might be something to think about as you look at managing this bean. You do need to keep it on better drained soils. Like we mentioned earlier, it doesn't need to be on the tight, wet ground. One of those reasons is because it's so short. The other is because, hey, Phytophthora is a bit of a concern with this one. That's why I've got a note here on the very bottom. We need to definitely use a seed treatment here. Okay, so looks like it's going to have a lot of outstanding performance. It is a little shorter bean, so keep those pops up. Keep it off of the real droughty or real wet, tight, tough soils. Put it on something a little more rolling with some better drainage. I think you're really going to blow the top out of the bin with this one. But be sure and use a seed treatment. So with that, we're going to shift gears and go to the corn. All right, moving on to the corn side. So this week we're focusing on a product called 21478. And I'm actually going to lead with one of the things at the very bottom of this board. This is probably one of the most exciting products I've ever seen. I came on board last October, so I got to start to see all this yield data come in from all the plots, and it was pretty crazy. This product was at the top of not all of them, but almost all of them. I mean, it didn't matter the yield environment, it didn't matter where it was, what type of conditions, north to south, didn't seem to bother it any. This thing was a top performer everywhere. And even if it didn't win the plot, it was always 1, 2, or 3. I mean, this thing, I'm just super excited to get to tell you about this product, and then get it in your guys' hands as we move into 2022. Like I said, it's got excellent yield performance across many different environment types. It has awesome ear flex. It is a tall plant, which you can kind of see that off to my right. We'll take a look at here in just a second as we jump into the corn. But with that height, it does have some pretty good stalks and roots. So not a ton of concern, but it's something to certainly watch out for. The other thing that I would probably mention is that this is a product that I would prefer be sprayed, especially as you work south and you've got more southern rust potential. But the amount of top end that this thing has in general justifies the fungicide application almost inevitably, because this thing has got just a tremendous amount of potential anywhere it goes, pretty much. So this, like I said, this thing is pretty exciting to me. I'm going to jump in. We're going to look at some of the ears, get you guys a feel for, hey, what this plant looks like throughout the year and where it ends at the end of the season. So with that, let's jump inside the corn. All right, guys. So this plot's actually a little bit different. This is under a lower population. This is a population study that we're doing, and it's one of those things we get to know our hybrids a little bit better, and this is just demonstrating the amount of ear flex this product has. I mean, check out the sizes of these ears. Okay, it's a product that puts on a decent amount of length. Like I say, if we drop that pot back, I think you get a little more length out of it. But the one thing that is consistent, no matter the population, is the kernel depth and the number of rows around. Okay, it seems to be pretty consistent with that 16 to 18 rows around. And then, like I said, the length's going to vary a little bit depending on population and environment. But I think that's one of the key points of this product, is that it makes a lot of yield towards the end of that season by filling those kernels with starches and things of that nature, so that you've got a ton of weight in each individual kernel. And so that's one of the things I think is really interesting about this product, and that's also one of those things when I think about high yielding products, that is one of the places I think most of them get their yield, is that kernel depth. I think that's similar to what we see here. So I'm holding this camera at about head height, so that gives you an idea where the ear placement is. Like we mentioned, it is definitely a little taller product. But the stalks and roots seem to be very intact, and we've not had any green snapping issues to speak of at this point. But this is just a great example of the flex this product has, and also just the overall potential. I mean, this thing can just flat put some corn on. So definitely something to talk to your seedsman about. If you guys have got any questions at all, as always, about anything that I've talked about here or anything else for that matter, be sure and reach out to your local seedsman, talk to them about it, get in a local plot near you, check some of this corn and some of these beans out for next year. Thank you, and we'll talk to you later.